you doing today? I'm here with a different video. In this video I'm going to show you guys how to replace your power jack or your charge port for your Nintendo Switch. This one is an exact model for this one. It's a model HAC-001. This applies to any other model too, as long as it's a Nintendo Switch. So I'm going to show you guys how to tear it down, how to get to the board, how to replace it. And I'll leave the link in the description where you can buy the new charge ports. These are the new one. There is a Type-C USB charge port. So further ado, and let's go and do this service. First thing first, you want to get yourself an opening tool. I use this UFIXTEK tool set. They're really good and handy. It comes with all the opening tools you need, pliers, tweezers. So we're gonna be using this one over here, and we're using the opening tools screwdriver right here. I'm sure we're gonna be using this one here is a Y00, I believe. Let me double check on that. Yep, it's a Y00 and a Phillips screwdriver number, I guess. For the Phillips, yeah, we're gonna stick to J00. Yep, J000. Alright, now once we got all these tools we need, we're gonna go start taking it apart. First thing first, we wanna take the two screws by the USB-C side on the bottom. Is a Phillips screw. Go ahead. Is a tiny one. Remove both. Next, you want to remove the single screw on the top side by the heatsink. It's the same size as the bottom one. Open up remove your cartridge if you have any. Also, you remove your micro SD if you have one. And right beside the micro SD, there is another screw right there. You want to remove this one right here. This one is smaller than the rest, so leave it apart. And on this side, all you need to do, remove the middle screw only. You don't need to remove all of them, just the middle one. And this is a bigger screw. On the other side, same thing, only remove the middle one. Alright. Now we're gonna switch the bit and we're gonna go to the Y one. We're gonna remove 4 screws, one in every corner at the back. Alright, once we remove all those, then we have double check. Yeah. We're gonna stop lifting up the back plate with your fingers, or if you can't, just use an opening tool. Just pull it away. Do the sides a little bit, and do the other end. And this cover should come out pretty easy. And there's a tiny hinge right here, so you might want to open that up. I use a guitar pick on this side to just let loose, and there we go. Now we can pull out the back cover. Now we can see the fan, and there's a big plate and the micro SD card reader right here. We're gonna first remove the micro SD card reader. First thing first, grab a tweezers and remove this sponge right here. You can rip it apart, you replace it if you want to, or just remove it nicely, not like the way I did. I just kind of ripped it apart. This one is in here, just pressure over the back cover so the connector just doesn't pop out. So yeah. Now we're gonna remove the single screw right beside the micro SD. So remove that. Next, we want to unhook the clip right here from the board. In order to do that, just put your opening tools right there and just lift it up. Simple as that. You can put the screw near the put every screw near the whatever component that you remove. That way will be easier to put it back together. All right, next we're gonna remove the back plate by removing the screws that is attached to it. One in every corner, one right there. There's another one. You can attach a magnet to here, magnetize the tip so the screw just stays on the tip. There's two in here, one there, and one right by the fan. And one right beside the SD card. And one right in the other corner. There we have removed all of them, I believe. Now you can go ahead and lift up this plate. There's lots of heatsink thermal paste in here. So this acts as a thermal paste too. Cools down the main heat pipe and the memory board, which you have like a 4 gig or whatever gig you have in here. It cools down with these thermal pads right there. So you want to put this to a side. Very important right now. First thing first, you want to remove the battery by removing the connector right here. To remove the connector, make sure you don't use any metals to remove it. So just pull up, don't pull towards the side, just you have to lift it up towards the ceiling, and that's it. You can just leave it right there. Next, now we can actually work on it safely. We can remove the onboard memory, just unhook it. It has an adhesive tape right on it. It might come out with the whole plate right there. You can leave it like that, just don't worry about it. Next, we want to remove the heatsink. Let's go ahead and remove 1, 2, 3 screws. Now we should be able to lift up the heatsink. Right there. Has a little sponge here. You can cut this sponge or you can just pry it open slowly, gently. And then pull out the heatsink. You can change your thermal paste if you want. We're not gonna remove anything right here. We can just change the thermal paste on this one because whatever. If you want to do your maintenance, you can go ahead and do it. You can clean it with an alcohol. That's 100% alcohol. There we go. Next, we're gonna use a tweezer. We're gonna remove the speaker cables. You wanna pull it towards the motherboard. It's a connector. Right there. Remove that one and the other speaker on the other side. Right there. We're gonna remove this ribbon cable. I have no idea where it goes, but it should go somewhere, so we remove it. It's supposed to be this microphone probably, but it needs to be removed. You can just remove it by pulling it or just losing it up like that. Next, the two ribbon cables right here. Unhook lift up this black cover right here. You have to lift it up. This one too, lift it up 90 degrees, and then you can just pull these ribbon cables back, slide them out, both of them. Now we gotta remove the ribbon cables for the fan and few other stuff. Pretty much all the ribbon cables must be loosened. So we're gonna remove this one, and this one lifts up from the other side. Lift that. Unhook this board connector right there, just lift it up. We're gonna unhook the LCD cable. Is the white one that has to go up 90 degrees. we're gonna slide the cable out. There we go. We're gonna remove the Wi-Fi cables. Just lift them up. I'm sure this is a card reader. We need to remove this ribbon cable right here. Just lift up the black cover. Loosen up. Now we gotta remove this card reader right from here. So there's one screw and two screws on the side. Remove this plastic and lift up this audio jack and the card reader. Alright, now we are halfway through. We could go and remove the fan, and we do need to remove the fan because the plastic over here goes over the motherboard, so it might be a struggle. So remove the 3 screws. So remove the fan. What else we have here? Down here where the power jack is, what we're gonna change the 2 screws, remove the bridge over it. So remove the 2 screws. See if this thing comes out. No. Doesn't. It pretty much looks that it's. So yeah, it is soldered on the board. So let me see if the one that I had. Where did I put it? Yeah, the one that we buy, it does come with a bridge included, so it must go. Just double check, make sure it's the same connector. Yes, okay. Now we gotta remove the motherboard. There's a tiny black screws, one right here, there, and that's it, I guess. So let's go remove this. These are the same Phillips, tiny screws. There we go. Now the board should come out pretty easy, so go ahead and lift it up from this side and wiggle it around, and there we have it. So pretty much this is it. This, you have battery, case, and the screen, and your tiny board. Alright, that's your VRAM right there. So what we're gonna replace, it's right over here. Now I'm gonna take you guys to my soldering station, and we're gonna isolate and prepare this one, and we're gonna do the job. Before we do anything, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna isolate it. I'm gonna show you guys how to isolate this. So what you need is a foil tape. It's a thick foil tape. You wanna cut, alright, and you wanna cut it through. You can do this the way that you like it, as long as you isolate it. Make sure you ground yourself with your wrist. And I'm gonna isolate it like this. And also I'm gonna isolate these connectors because these are black connector plastic, so we need to isolate those. You don't want to melt those because we gotta heat it up to remove it. My camera is not working on my hot station, so I'm gonna try my best. There we go. And we also gonna isolate it this way. All right. Now that we have all this ready, you can see we isolate the whole power jack, and we're gonna go over the station, and we're gonna we start working on this. All right, now that we have it in here, I'm gonna prepare it. We're gonna leave it right there. All right, what we need to do, we wanna desolder this. To desolder it, we need a flux. I'm gonna use my flux a little bit. Put it right on the pins, on the corners. Well, what the flux does, it makes it easy to soldering to melt. It brings the melting point lower, so you can melt it faster. All right, now that it's down, there's two solder points in every corner, and we're gonna add a little bit of solder on that one. So grab your solder station, clean up the tip. Mine is not heated up yet. There we go. I'm gonna melt it down a little bit in every corner. There. Right there. And also I'm gonna do a retouch on the pins at the back. And a little bit on the side. Alright. Now once we add a little bit of solder on those, so what we want to do, we want to heat it up our station to 380 degrees. And with a hot station, we're just gonna put the bigger nozzle on it, and we're gonna heat it up. And obviously we need a tweezers. So I'm gonna try to do this way so you guys can see it. So I'm putting the hot air from this side towards the outside, so I don't want to heat up the processor or anything like that. So in this position. There we go. Now we need to prepare and clean this spot. To do that, we're gonna use a wick. So grab your wick. You can use a small one. I like to open the wick a little bit. And you're gonna apply a flux right on top. And we wanna just clean up the old soldering on top of here. So what we wanna do, we wanna just go over. All right. Let's go get the new. Before doing that, we gotta put a little bit of flux on the pins. There we go. Now we're just gonna put it on top, make sure it's in place. Yep. Before we put this one in, we're gonna preheat the board a little bit. So go ahead and preheat the board. Alright, now that the board is preheat, we're gonna grab this one and we're gonna sit it right on top. Alright, once we have set it down, that way you don't damage the inside the connectors of the power jack. Just we're gonna use our microscope or just use a magnifying glass to double check the pins are nicely soldered in. Alright, beautiful. It's all set. So what we're gonna use our station. We're just gonna add the extra solder on the front legs and on the other side and on the back 2 legs. Alright, and we are done. So there we go, we remove the clips. Now all we need to do is to do some cleaning. Obviously the cleaning is easy. Alcohol, lots of it. You can put it on the board with a Q-tip. You can use a toothbrush, and then while it's hot, it's warm, remove the tape. It's easier to remove once it's warm. And there we go. Now we have the new one in place. So let's go back again and put it back in place. Now that we are back, we put the new power jack in. So we solder it, we clean it up. If you want to do further cleaning, you can go ahead and do it. Alright, now we're going to put it back in. Make sure you put all the ribbons on top. It doesn't have to go underneath, otherwise you're going to miss a ribbon. So let's put that power jack down inward. There's a connector right there. Make sure that connector is out. There's a connector right there. There's one over here. And there's one over there. I'm guessing this is all. No, there's one more right underneath the big one. There we go. Alright, just double check. Make sure the power jack is nice in place. Okay, the screw holes match. Now we can go ahead and put the 2 screws in there first. Alright. Now we can start from this side. Put the audio jack, the speakers on this side. Slide them down. Push them inward. Make sure the cables are not on the way. Lift up the connector. Slide down the connector. You can use 2 things to hold it down. With the other one, you can push it inward. And then just do it in this position. I just want to show you guys, but I don't want to. Just push it inward nicely all the way in. Okay, and then you can close it. There. Do the same thing on this side. the speakers. Okay, we're gonna do the ribbons for this end. Lift up this bridge, put it down, slide it all the way in, close the lock, open the lock, slide it in, close the lock. Grab this cable for the Wi-Fi, place it on top, and then push it down to the board. There we go. Now we're gonna do this position. We're gonna do the ribbon cable for the LCD. Lift up the lock, bring it down, push it all the way in, and close the lock on it. I don't know, this is a volume rocker, so put this one in too, all the way in, and close the lock. Alright, let's put the 3 and the black screws holding the motherboard. Alright. Before you put it in, you can just slide down the cable right there and then help it out. And then close the lid, and that's it. Now put the 3 screws for the fan. There we go. Now we're gonna grab the audio unit and the card reader unit. Before we put it down, we're just gonna put the ribbon in. And we're not gonna close. Once we put it in and put it in place, and then we're gonna close the lid for that. And plug in the connector. Just you have to smack this in, align it over, and there we go. You have to make a nice click. Put the support for the audio jack and put the 3 screws. I'm guessing the screw is right here. I forgot, but you can just roll back the video and make sure it was here or it was there. Doesn't make any difference because at the end all the screws must go in. So remember, this fan was like this, so that screw goes right over there, so it should be here. It's pure logic. So we're gonna grab the onboard memory board. So we're gonna push it down, push the lock. And now what we need to do, put the heatsink. We're gonna clean the old thermal paste. Alright, now that we clean up the old thermal paste, we're gonna apply the new thermal paste. We're gonna put an Arctic Silver 4, and I mean MX4, and a little bit of over here. You slide down this side first. Actually, open this sponge thing. Now we put it in place. Make sure this cable doesn't go underneath. Just put it over. Let's put the 3 screws for the heatsink. Alright, now that we have the 3 screws, now we're gonna actually roll down the cables under the corner of the heatsink right there. We have that in place, we have everything in place right now. We can go ahead and easily just plug in the battery. So grab the battery and just plug it right there. Push it down from like the way you did with the Wi-Fi cables. Now we have those in place. Just double check every connector. That connector, this one right there, 2 screws, the fan connector, this one, that one over there, this cable is locked, the Wi-Fi, this one's over there, and we should be set. Now we're gonna grab the top cover. You can do something here. You can just collect all this thermal paste and put it in the middle. You just spread it on the sides, so just put it in the middle. And now we can just smack it right over. And go ahead and put all the screws for the top cover, metal cover. There is one more and it goes right away here. Now we're gonna grab this micro SD reader. First we're gonna align it. I really don't like the way they made this. To align it on top is kinda hard, but yeah. And put the sponge right over so it keeps it in place, and put the only screw that holds it. And pretty much we're done. So all we need to do is put the top cover back on, straight down, and we are almost done. I hope you guys like this video, and if you liked it, click that thumbs up button, and if you have any questions, you know where to leave them. So let's put the screw on the side first, on the middle, the one on the other side. And the top and the bottom one, 2 beside the power jack. One right there. Remember the tinier one, the flat one, and tiny one goes right where the micro SD card is. So put that one in there too. And put the one on the top by the heatsink. Now we're gonna put the last 4 screws on the back cover with the Y screw head. And this should sum it up. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.